I made $500,000 in the first year of my online business, and now I have that out of the way, I can tell you that to grow that business, I had to get over some pretty brutal truths about growing businesses, about mindset around business, and around money at the same time. And in this video, I'm gonna explain to you 5 pretty brutal and painful truths that you might have to go over, like I had to go over, in order to build a business that you like. This video is not for someone who's making 100K a month, it's for someone who wants to build an online business to the 20, 30K a month mark consistently. These are the 5 truths that I got over, and I know for a fact today that they're the reason that I managed to scale my business so quickly. So take a pen and paper out, think about what beliefs are holding you back, and let's get into the video. And before I get into the truths, my name's Sol, and I used to be a corporate 9-to-5er. I used to work a job that I didn't like, and I thought every single day about how I could have this online business. But little did I know it was my beliefs and the truths that I couldn't yet understand, which were the things that are holding me back. Now I live around the world, in Cape Town, in Bali, in Dubai, all the business that I absolutely love, but it came from breaking these limiting beliefs. And it allowed me to build a life where I, yes, have a lot of money that I'm able to spend on the people that I love, but much more importantly, I'm excited to wake up every single day. So let me get into it. And the first truth that I got over was that if I did the same as everyone else, I could achieve a different outcome. There was me in my corporate job in London, going out drinking, going partying, going clubbing, expecting somehow if I did that, to end up having a life that was different from the people around me. I wanted to have an online business where I could work wherever I wanted in the world. And still I expected that if I did all the same things as people who weren't able to do that, I would have a different outcome. So the first limiting belief and hard truth that I had to go over was that I had to act differently. I couldn't look at everyone around me and assume that if I acted in the same way as them, I would get the same outcomes. One of the things that always held me back was listening to advice from people who didn't have the life that I wanted. Because if you think about it, if you listen to the advice and people who look through the scope and have achieved a certain outcome from looking through that scope, then you will get the outcome that they want. If you take advice from someone who's unfit, you will get the same results as them, which is to be unfit. If you take advice from someone who doesn't know how to lift in the gym, well, guess what's going to happen? You're going to struggle to lift in the gym properly. And that is the exact same about scaling an online business. Is I was listening to my parents, I was listening to my coworkers, and I was listening to my friends. The funny thing about all 3 of them is, with respect to all of them, none of them had true freedom in their lives and had the financial freedom and the location freedom that I really craved while in my job. So I truly realized that I needed to stop listening to them. And one of the biggest hard truths that I had to get over was this thing of work-life balance. The amount of people who will tell you when you're trying to grow your business, you need to have work-life balance, you need to take your weekends off, you need to take your evenings off. Please ask anyone who has a business and a life that you want if they went all in at some point. All of them will say yes. But what people tell you is that you should have work-life balance, but the people who tell you that are the people who don't have the lives that you want. So that was a really hard lesson that I had to learn, is the people that I loved, that I cared for and had a lot of respect for, didn't always have the best advice that I needed to listen to. And when I started ignoring those people with the greatest possible respect and listening to people who only had the life that I wanted, immediately my business started growing, because I started picking up the habits and traits and actions of someone who had the business and the life that I wanted. So that was the one brutal truth. But the second is even more controversial, which is a lot of people will start telling you, you shouldn't have to sacrifice things. You shouldn't have to actually give up the things that are important to you in life, and that family and that friends and that health and relationships are all incredibly important, and life is not worth living without that. And while I could not agree more with that, and that everything I do right now is to have great relationships and health in my life, when you are in a certain season of growing your business, you have to sacrifice things. In life, there are genuinely 3 things that you can achieve: better wealth, better health, and better relationships. It is impossible to do all 3 of those things. And I realized that while I was growing my business at the start of 2025. I was in Bali, surrounded by great people, people who were going out all the time, people who were asking to go for coffee all the time. But I realized I was in a chapter of grind. The only thing that I needed to increase was my wealth, because I needed a certain amount of money to get a team in order to leverage myself out of my business and to know that I'd fully escaped my 9-to-5 job. In order to do that, I had to work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. And no lie, did I grind to the point where I was exhausted. And I also sacrificed relationships, and I also wasn't in the shape that I wanted to be at the same time. But what happened? I did 100K in my first 100 days, and I put the foundations in place for a $500,000 business. At the same time, the others suffered. And what I'm trying to say to you here is that I accepted that I had to sacrifice certain things in my life to achieve other things. And that's what I was able to do. So I'm so happy that I understood this idea of sacrifice, and it was a truth that I had to get over. That at the end of the day, you can't have balance. You have to prioritize prioritize something in your life, and it depends what chapter you're in your life. And for me, that was a wealth chapter at the start of the first 6 months of 2025, and then the second half of 2025 was all about health and relationships. I'm now in the best shape I've ever been, and I have amazing people around me, and it's all because I worked out what I was sacrificing at certain points. When I had the two things at the end of 2025, my wealth didn't grow as much, but I was happy because my wealth and my relationships were in a better place. And the thing that I always told myself, which is the worst thing that you can have, is that you become a jack of all trades and a master of none. And I remember this specifically when I was playing some friends at paddle, and I remember thinking I was so frustrated that I wasn't as good at paddle at them. They were absolutely killing me. And then I realized that it's fine because they were in a paddle chapter. They were focusing on paddle, and instead I was focusing on my wealth. My business was doing very well, and I was fortunately earning a lot of money, but my paddle wasn't as good. And I had to accept in that moment that at that point, it was not a paddle chapter. Now I'm a lot better at paddle, and I probably beat them, but at that time, it was all about wealth and relationships. Anyway, enough about the paddle. Let's go on to point number 3, which is everyone talks about the fact you have so much time. And let me tell you this straight away. You do not have as much time as you think. This is what I thought while I was in my 9 to 5. I was thinking, I've got loads of time. Everyone around me was telling me, just see this out for a few years. Honestly, just gain some experience. You've got loads of time. And I was like, I don't think I do have time, and that's for a few reasons. The first is that I believe there's an opportunity cost to your time. Or for every day that I have now that I don't work towards having a better life is a day lost on the other side of having a better life. I can say this confidently right now because I can pick a time in about May when my life shifted from grind working hard to genuinely feeling like I was living the best, most fulfilling life of all time. And it's because I realized that time was running out. I didn't have enough time, that I worked so hard in that period up to May, knowing that after it, I would have a better life. There is an opportunity cost for you not doing the work now, for you not realizing time is running out, to after that, actually having a life that you look forward to waking up to. So let me take that to extreme, that if you always think that you have enough time, you're constantly delaying the idea that you're going to have a better life into the future. And I realized I want as many days in my life as possible that I enjoy. So right now, the only thing that I need to do is to change my life to make sure that I enjoy waking up every single day. That made me quit my 9 to 5 job. It made me work incredibly hard to get to the business that I wanted to. And now I can say that I passed over to that dream state of life, and I'm loving everything I do right now. So you are running out of time, and the opportunity cost of you not doing the work now is the cost of not having as many days in your life that you genuinely enjoy. The second is that you'll never have as little responsibility as you have right now. That is something that blows my mind every time. Everyone always says, I'm going to do this in 6 months' time when this happens. Let me tell you, having taken 1,000 sales calls and spoken to hundreds of people who say to me, Sol, I promise you, I'm going to start building this business or scaling this business in a few months' time. Let me tell you how many of those people come back to me and go, right, let's do it. They never do. Because what you find is that people always say, I'll do this after, I'll do this after, I'll do this after. But what you realize is you're always going to have responsibilities. If it's a newborn kid now, then in 3 months' time, you're going to be looking after them. And then maybe in a year's time, you're going to have another kid, or maybe your partner might lose their job. You have no idea what is going to happen in the future. And the difference between successful people is that they know they are running out of time to build the life that they want. And they know that there is never the right time to actually go and do something. The perfect time simply does not exist. And the only difference between success and not success is just going and doing the thing, even if it isn't perfect anyway. So that is the third truth that I learned, which is that I got to the idea that I was actually running out of time. Instead of thinking I could relax, I could chill, because I couldn't, because I wanted the life that I wanted to build that was on the other side of making sure that I worked incredibly hard. The fourth one is that I thought the market and building your own business was a lovely place to be. I thought, life is really good when you have a business. Everyone's going to want to buy your product. And I was posting for 1.5 years before I actually started my business. And I always remember thinking, where is someone going to offer me some business? Or when is someone going to offer me to give me a brand deal? Or when is this going to come? And that's when I realized brutal truth number 4, which is the market is absolutely brutal. You have to accept that. So the thing that I realized while I was posting that content is that no one was coming to save me. And actually, I had to prove to the market that I had value. I studied economics when I was at university. And I remember looking at market dynamics and thinking it is incredibly brutal in the way that if you simply do not price yourself into a market, then you'll just be outcompeted. And I've seen that in real life as well with competitors that I've seen that have just been absolutely obliterated by other people that are simply willing to do more. And there are two things that I realized within this market brutal truth, which is so important, is that firstly, I had to give so much value up front for free, because at the end of the day, when you're starting and growing your business, which you probably are, no one believes you are good at what you do, or no one at least knows who you are to believe you are good at what you do. So the thing that I realized is I had to put so much goodwill, so much value out there in the first place in order to win business. The market is so brutal. Unless you can literally prove for free to someone that you can help them, then people simply will not buy from you. The biggest way that I scaled my business in the first maybe 90 days to do that first 100K in revenue was all because I fully understood that I had to go and give these roadmap calls or these free audit calls out to people in order to give them 30 minutes of my time for free. A few of them ended up becoming clients, and then the snowball effect of my business happened. But had I believed that I could just go and sell high ticket to people without proving my worth first, I don't think I'd be where I am today. And then the second one is this idea of needing to sell yourself. I actually jumped on a call with a client the other day, and he was like, I really believe in what I do. I know I can help people, but I don't like selling. And I just said to him, do you genuinely believe in what you can do? Like, do you genuinely believe you can help someone? And he was like, yes. And then I said, do you want to have a massive impact in your industry? And he said, yes. And I said, well, how are you going to do that if you don't sell to people? Because at the end of the day, how can you run a business if you don't actually take people from not customers to customers? The only difference between that is a sales process. So yes, there are a lot of bad terms and bad impressions of people in the industry who are very salesy. For sure, I get that completely. But at the same time, you have to sell with conviction and with absolute firmness. Then your business will simply never make the money you want it to. And that's one of the fascinating things that I found about growing this business is had I not put a load of value into the market and had I not sold with absolute conviction and confidence, then I never would have actually grown the business that I wanted to. And that is the fourth truth. But the fifth truth is a very uncomfortable truth for a lot of people. Most people watching these videos think they need the next best strategy. They think they need the little business tip, the story strategy, or the little hook in their content that is going to unlock everything. Let me tell you this. The thing that I realized is it is nothing to do with strategy until you get to the 30, 40K a month mark. The real thing is a great offer with good content, but underpinning all that is two things: an intense focus and incredible discipline. Within that discipline is your habits and your systems. And I've developed habits and systems that I think have absolutely changed my life. I have a to-do list that I look at every single morning, and that is the only thing that I work on. And I've also completely removed any meetings from my mornings. Those two things in and of themselves have helped me break the 30 to 40K a month mark, because I am very disciplined at getting the tasks done that I need to do. And it blows my mind every single time I speak to people who are stuck under the 10K a month mark, how many of them are just on a hamster wheel, constantly doing admin tasks that don't move the needle forward. And that is all because of a lack of discipline. The second thing under that umbrella of the most important things within the online business space of growing to 20K a month is focus. One of the things that annoys me the most right now is everyone talking about AI, open core, clawbot, whatever you want to talk about. All of those tasks are distracting from the things that you need to do, which is focusing on solving the bottleneck of your business. And I actually have a full video where I explain the systems and the way that I've been able to focus intensely to grow my business over that 20K a month mark. And the video will just be up here. So if you click on that video, then I'll tell you everything that you need to know about building incredible discipline and focus to scale your business.